What's up, everybody? So, I somehow became the owner of two Bearcats. This one is in better shape, and it appears to be newer because the motor is not a flathead. And yeah, so another Bearcat. Problem this one is the fuel tank was leaking. I put a little fuel in there because the person said, I don't know anything about this, do you want it? Here you go. So here we are. Tank was dry, put fuel in there, and now you can tell it was leaking. It was leaking from this part of the fuel line. We're gonna have, I believe, just sitting around problems of leaking and just general crap. We also have flat wheels, to be expected, and everything seems like it's fine with the exception of just the leaking in the wheels. So we're going to try to fix the leak. We're probably going to still look at the carb because we're going to have to pretty much take the carb almost all the way off just to remove the fuel line comfortably. So we might as well take a look at the carb because if we don't, you know we're going to have to later. Huh. Well, that's not right. We're missing a breather hose. Well, I do see. Yeah, it's right there. Okay. So, yeah, we have problems. So we're going to go through a couple problems, and then we'll get it cleaned up, and hopefully it'll be working good as new. But before we continue, if you like what you see, consider subscribing. I post about 2 to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times a week, depending on how many projects I have. So if you like to watch small engine projects or just like to hang out, feel free to subscribe. It's free. I have to apologize about the noise. Apparently we have to do laundry right now. But maybe in the future I can convince Miss P&W to get a shop, which I feel like I'm pretty close to it, but I just need to, oh, there it is. Just need to finish a couple other small bits. So I thought that was 3/8, it's actually 7/16. Kind of surprised about this machine. The person I sold the other one to, which was the 8 horsepower Briggs, just like this one, except it was a flathead. You can argue which one is better, but 8 horsepower. And oh, there's another one. He had sent me a picture. Of course, it's not the same size of using it, which, yeah, that's nice. I wasn't really expecting the picture, but it was nice. And he was taking down some fairly large branches, so it's kind of interesting to see the power of this machine. Now, they're not, probably great for a professional, unless you do, like, small residential projects. But at the end of the day, still a pretty good little machine. I don't really like seeing that fuel filter. It might be the mesh type, I don't know. Yeah, I'm kind of glad that we took this off because we have some sludgage in the center there, so we're going to want to get that cleaned anyway. Don't want to have all that crap inhaled into the motor. This has been removed before because the ends of the screws are completely trashed, which is very unfortunate. I'm not 100% sure what these are called again, but they're just like reverse hex. I thought this was going to be easy. So that's not good. That's not good at all. Because I can't really put like a pair of pliers because I'm going to tear up the threads. We might have to see if just a very small socket will fit over them. That's pretty much one of the smallest metrics I have. Let's see what we have for standard. Yeah. Okay, so what are we gonna do? Yeah, that's the next size up, and that's not gonna work. Getting new studs would be nice. We might just have to jack the machine up so we can get access easily to the bowl, and then we'll take the bowl off and we'll see what the condition of the carburetor is there and take it at that point. I'm not a fan of this carburetor because every time I've ever taken one of these apart, it's always been pretty much a guessing game if the screws are going to come out. I don't really like having two screws. Not a fan. Oh, well, that was surprising. Oh no, do we have to take off the cover too? Oh, I bet we do. Okay, well, the cover has a couple of 7/16 all around it, so I'm going to take it off. And let's see what we have. So one I'm missing. Off. Off, off, off. Okay. It's probably good. There is junk in here. Animal junk. So it's a good thing that we came in here. Dump this in the trash. So we had a family of something trying to live in there. Well, it doesn't look horrible so far. I think I'm going to just blow this out and, well, let's see. This should come off. There we go. Let me grab a towel and we'll take a look. Well, I have a towel out. Let's see. Jet. Well, the gasket, the little rubber gasket on the carb looks fine. So that's good. I think everything else on the carb looks fine. Let's take a look at this. There's a small little jet down there. It also looks to be fine. Yeah, I think I'm just going to take my air compressor. I'm going to blow through all of it. And then in addition to that, I'm going to probably try to take some carb cleaner and get this section cleaned out to throw to the carb and get all the junk blown off of it with the air compressor. I'll put it back together. We will then work on the wheels because why not? It's already up. Before I forget, that jet can come out. So if you're going to be cleaning it like I am with the air compressor and taking off the rest of this junk that's on there, you're going to want to make sure that you don't, blow that thing across the room where you can never find it again. Be careful of that. That would be very unfortunate. I will say this bowl is immaculate quality, or just perfect. I mean, it's thick. It's not like the stamped tin ones like I'm used to on the smaller versions. Having said that, there is a little spring that fits in the center of the bowl or on the carb, whatever you want to put it. Just don't forget it. That is important to have in there. Now, we still have the original problem of the fuel line. So let's go ahead and get that figured out while we have the cover off. Yeah, this whole fuel line, even if it wasn't leaking at the tank, it wouldn't have been great to be reusing. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take off the fuel shutoff, and I might put a different filter in there, but take the clips off, put a new fuel line on, take the old fuel line, measure that, get the new fuel line same size. That way there's no worry about kinking or anything that could go wrong. If you get the same size, I mean, that's what came from the factory. It should be okay. I like my immaculate shoes. Anyway, joke, by the way, you should check this one out. Shoestrings have been broken for like, oh, I don't know how long. So if you ever have a problem with a fuel line coming off, kind of go like this. Now you're not touching the plastic underneath it. You're just taking it part of the line. In fact, not even all the line. And kind of cutting it off. See how it didn't even come off? Or it didn't even cut through, barely. Then the rest of it just usually just frivels up and falls off. And you still have the length that you need. So it's a lot better than fumbling around with this and then potentially breaking the end on either side. That can get annoying because they need to buy a new one. And new fuel line, filter, clips, all that. Except for the shutoff valve, of course. But I'm going to put the tank back on. Seems like it's fitting pretty good because, well, it should. And get this blown off before I do so. We should be pretty much set. Put all the covers, like I said, back on, and we'll be good to go to get the wheels started. We have some bad news. Unfortunately, I turned the fuel on and it started leaking. Coming through the throat. Decided to take a look. Took off this, and it appeared like it was leaking from the top. The top is smooth, and it has a gasket, which I believe is bad. Wouldn't surprise me. It does seem like it's pretty old. So we are going to have to remove that carburetor. If we can't put the intended tool on it, we're just going to have to double nut the stud. If you don't know what I'm talking about, take the two nuts that came off the air filter housing, put one backwards, hold that one down, take the other one, tighten it together so it just gets really, really tight in between each other, and then you can use them to actually unscrew the stud. So I'm going to go ahead and take that off and we'll get it cleaned. When looking at the gasket, or the rubber gasket on here, it doesn't really seem like it's hard, but this little piece right here does, and that's where the fuel comes from, does appear like it's not wanting to play well with its little holder. So yeah, that would make sense. Because I already have it off, I don't feel like doing this again. I'm just going to do the whole carb and throw it in an ultrasonic cleaner. I purchased the full kit, however, to be honest, I'm not going to use it all. In my experience, because, well, just from what I've experienced, is these are pretty cheap in these kits. This is not an OEM kit, by the way. This is aftermarket kit. The OEM kit was on back order, and it didn't really have a time limit on there. And when I went to try to just order for shipping, it didn't even bother to give me an estimated delivery as well. And this one came in 2 days. So, not the best, but we're mainly just needing a gasket. And you can buy these separate, don't get me wrong. But the problem is I kind of want this little gasket too. Or seal. Because that is actually pretty important. If you don't have that, and it's dry or cracked or just bad, you can experience problems. So that actually goes down there. So, I mean, it falls out pretty easy. I literally just dropped it and it slid out. That's usually a sign that this is also bad. And if that one's bad, probably that one's bad too. So that old one was not the easiest to take off, but I have it off. Now, we need to put it back. The thinner end needs to go in first. Now, excuse me, I need to see how it landed. Of course, it did not land the correct way. Why would it? Okay. Now, I'm just going to take like a Allen, shove it in there so it fits. Now that that's in there, we're going to try to make this work. It's a little oblong because of, I'm sure the quality is just superb. But let's make this work. Yeah, I'm gonna mess with that. Good and bad news. That seal, complete crap. Wrong one. I'm gonna return the kit, say no more of that nonsense, and be done with it. I tried to fix the current seal. I got it to work pretty good. It's sealing pretty good now. You also have to make sure that that jet is pretty snug in there, because if you don't, then it's just not going to work. So I have put my own O-ring in there. It's a little bit bigger, so it's kind of a pain to put in. I mean, it's such a minuscule amount, so I could put the whole kit back and throw it away. Well, give it back to them. So, in addition to that, there is a spring, which I know is around here. There we go. And we need to make sure is on correctly. Because if it's not, we are going to be in a world of pain. Oh, you know what? Also helps if we have the float on there. So I'm going to go ahead and put the float on, put the bowl on, put the spring on. It's nothing too elaborate, and then I'll give it a try again. It's been on there for 3-4 minutes, and before it'd be gushing out by now. Fuel's on. The studs aren't tight in case it was going to be a troublemaker, but I feel like we're pretty good. So I'm happy about that. Able to get the old one to work. So we wasted a day. But now that we're finally on track, we're going to continue on with the wheels. If you look at them, I'm going to talk while I make sure it's still not leaking. They're still on the bead. They don't look like they have any giant cracks in them. So what we should be able to do is just put some air in there and pump them up. My old one, which if you haven't seen that video, definitely watch that one, but this actually was completely off the bead. That was annoying. Now, I didn't go into too much detail because I got lucky, but if you do not have that luxury of being on the bead and just have to fill it up, if you can press it, hands, strap, something, and kind of squeeze the tire so it kind of bows out and put a lot of pressure really fast, it usually kind of pops into place. You could try that whole, carb spray cleaner or whatever and give it a pop. But do you really want to do that in such close proximity to a carburetor? I'm a little apprehensive on that. When doing this, we don't really know if it's going to hold air. So there's a couple things you can do. One, you can clean the wheel and then fill it, spray soapy water all over it, see if you can find any bubbles. Or two, I'm not going to sell it today, and I'm going to do the drawn out method where I'm going to fill it, and if it's still the same pressure in the afternoon as it is right now, about 24 hours, it's about 6 o'clock, then we should be good to go. There we go. I don't 100% know what the rating is. This is starting to look a little questionable to me right now. But I'll just put it right there. That's nice and firm. I think it's set for like 15 right now. So I'm going to go ahead and do the other one. The other one is exactly the same. It's both not on the bead. like I said, if you do have a problem with the bead, then go right ahead and double check that wheel. Completely went blank. If you do have a problem putting on the bead, put pressure, a lot of air pressure at the same time. That's the easiest way. Or take it off and you can do the whole starter fluid and lighter method if you really want to. Well, the tires are good. I have the little chute facing out. Let me move this. I should have done that beforehand. That way, if it does turn on, I don't have a whole bunch of whatever's in there flying all over. You know what? I have a quick idea. Hopefully you can see this, but when I originally got it, this wire was off. So I put it back on because that's the little oil sensor wire. I'm going to double check if there's spark. I'm just going to take the plug out and kind of rub it on the exhaust and give it a pull first. And the weather is kind of taking a turn for the worse, and I don't have a whole lot of room for great camera angles, so I apologize. But the spark was fine. Let's turn it to choke, give it a pull. Is it on? It is on. Try to turn off choke. It's weird. I see flashing. Let's try taking that off. And I smell fuel. Take the filter off, take all that crap off. Let us spray something down the carb. It is on full throttle as well, so that shouldn't be the problem. The fuel is on. Like, I can smell it, I can hear it. Well, I only smell it. I think we might have a flooded situation going on here. I'm not 100% sure why. I think what ended up happening, I lost spark, and I took the cover off to try to see this little cover right here about the switch, and somehow I think the two prongs was grounding itself out on each other. So I bent it back, put it back together, tested for spark. We have spark now. So let's see what happens now. Let's try no choke. Okay, try choke. Fuel is on. thing here. Well, maybe not. It's a whole lot of garbage in here, though. I think it might be prudent of us to try to fetch as much of that crap out as we can. Yeah, let me go ahead and get that cleaned up. I tipped it over on its side. The inside here was where all that junk was. All of a sudden, all that came out. So this is why I was having that end face the outside of the door. Having said that, let's give it a try again. These machines really should not be on concrete, or at least smooth concrete. As you saw, it was dancing all over the place. But it works. The tines work. The belt in there looks to be fairly decent. The engine works. The tires are holding pressure. So it looks like we are good to go. Looks like we just had a bad nicky carb. Call me surprised. And the rest of it, it's gonna get a good cleaning after this, but other than that, that's really all I needed. Good carb clean, and that's about it. Well, I'm gonna leave you at that. If you like what you see, keep watching, subscribe, follow me on Instagram at SmallEngine101. Like I said, if you like these small engine videos, I post several times a week, so I'd appreciate it if you can keep watching. Have a nice night.